Hello, episode 3 of Chatting Shit about the Commander Cup. Joined by Jamie Gunn, The Gun Show, Cal Kalethnik, and Philip James Robert, Philip Jim Bob. All good?
Oh well.
All good, mate.
Yeah.
As long as not pronounced cancer read you this month, we're all right.
Did I get your name right there, Phil? It's one of the
Correct. Philip James Robert, aka Philip Jim Bob. Correct.
That's
yeah.
it. Got it in one. That's good. Yeah. How's everyone doing? How's everyone feeling about the cup?
Much better.
Undecided.
Take me back a month.
Oh.
I love it. I know Cal's going to be absolutely gutted that Prismatic's gone, but I'm a big fan of this one.
I think I am too. But I say again, I think I am every month, and then it all goes wrong, and then
It always starts off in the right way.
Yeah. Why don't you like it, Cal?
Just
because he's not able to use Promo Pass.
Do you know what? I rarely use Promo Pass unless there's
Sunny Cast Form.
Yeah, Sunny Cast Form and Rainy Cast Form.
All the cast forms.
Definitely.
Well, we're going to start off with something much less spicy than the cast forms. Phil, returning to his usual self and picking the least spicy thing imaginable. What have you got for us, Phil?
Me, Mr. Meta.
Mr. Meta.
I've gone for Pokédex entry number 454, Toxicroak. Purely because it's ranked 17 on PvPoke, because 17 is my favourite integer.
Prime number as well, which we like.
Correct. I think Counter's good, Sudow's not, which is a shame, given that somebody attempted to do a Sudowoodo and did very, very poorly with their impression.
Savage.
He's not happy.
I'm not happy, no.
Do you want to set the record straight, Phil?
Where's the Toxicroak impression?
Does Toxicroak... There's your Toxicroak impression.
Perfection.
No, I think people can look back to Catacombs if they're that interested. I think in terms of beating Sudo, that's quite important. Escav's an interesting one when it comes to the counter versus counter. Toxie does it for me. Beating Sudo's quite important. Everyone loves a Credilli, so Muck, Alolan Muck, Lapras, the Steels, because everyone's going to bring Steelix. Pause for effect now. Okay. So not everyone's running Steelix now. And Empoleon.
We're not all J.
It's got a lot of play.
Sorry, was that you saying? Go on.
Yeah, we're not all J. We're not all J. We're not going to be that spicy.
Well,
someone runs a Steelix and beats me with a Steelix. They've deserved that win.
Yeah, I think I'm surprised Matthew says Steelix is going to be that spicy. I rate Steelix. I've always rated Steelix, haven't I, Matthew?
Yeah. Oh God, I'd forgotten about that. Yeah. All right.
It's okay. Toxic Cup was a thing.
A long time ago now. That was me thinking I was over it, but.
No, it's fine because Pidgeot's better now, so you're fine.
True. Oh, he's still not quite good enough to beat a Steelix, I don't think. But
no. I think Counter's big. Mud ground's important as well, so I think that spamming mud bomb's quite good. I think more so than Rock Slide. I can see how it's hitting the ice, how Rock's hitting the Ice Mons, but I think Ground has probably got a bit more coverage with the electrics types that are going to come in as well, the poison types that are going to be in. So I think spammy ground moves are a little bit more important for me.
Are you not scared of the Hypno?
What?
Are you not scared of the Hypno?
The penis nose?
Sir Penis Nose, I'll have you know.
It's not prismatic. It's not going to be on every team, is it? Again,
It is.
It is, isn't it? No, I think there's a few ways you can play Toxicroak. You can bench him and invite the Hypno in, and then there's your Alolan Muck. If you are going to play it against the Hypno teams, which you're going to have to if you've got balls, like some of us do have, you can make sure it lands on a mon it needs to, because if you look at the other 5 or 4 mons, there's going to be a lot of play against Toxie for Toxie. So am I scared of Hypno? No.
I think there's that the whole Toxie Hypno Amok dynamic
it's here again. Yeah,
it's a pain. It's a pain because, like, I feel like I mean, not we say every team will have it a lot, but we're seriously not going to be far off that this month, I don't think. And they're all
3 of them.
Yeah, all 3, and they're all great mons in their own right. But because they're all so hard countered by each other, like I feel like I'm picking them almost as like a bit of a nuclear deterrent almost. Like,
yep, correct.
I feel like I have to have the Hypno because that means that
otherwise, yeah,
Toxie, and I feel like I have to have the Muck or the Munchlax because that means there's a chance you might not bring Hypno. I feel like by not having those things, I'm potentially giving you an easy, not an easy win, but like an easy out almost. Like, and I think it's interesting because Munchlax has got the alternative play to Alolan Muck. To a lesser extent, Shiftry has as well, I think. Obviously, there's other confusion uses are available, but Hypno is Hypno and is versatile and has Fire Punch. But I think the counter slot is the one that's got the most flexibility almost. In episode 1, Dan spoke about Sudowoodo? No, Jan spoke about Sudowoodo. Episode 2, I spoke about Escavalier, and episode 3, you're speaking about Toxicroak. I think all 3 are viable.
Yeah, I think all four are viable.
No, Alakazam's not viable.
yeah. It beats Alolan Muck.
I thought you were going Bonsley then.
Oh yeah, 5, all 5. That's it. There's my team sorted.
Bonsley over Alakazam, and we know my feelings about Bonsley. There's no reason to. It's not more, but it's not bulkier than Sudowoodo. The reason to go Bonsley is if you want 2 Sudowoodos, but I don't think there's a single mon here that I'd want 2 of on my team.
No.
But double hit.
No, I think you're right. In terms of the other 3, it'll be the other 3 mons which will pick up your wins.
Or your losses.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah. But Toxie then, so you rate it higher than Escav and higher than Sudo then?
Higher than Sudowoodo, yes. Escav, I couldn't pick. It's already been picked.
No.
So maybe that's an influence in what my commander slot might be.
Right. But
I yes, at the moment I am running both.
Both? Oh. Interesting.
Serving well in practice. The idea is there and it's working.
Fair. Cal, what are your thoughts on counter users?
I think Toxicroak's the best for the month. It's always just a menace, isn't it? All the time. You can even if you get caught up by the Hypno, you can sort of dodge back out after getting a couple of counters, and then when you come back in, you've already got a bit of energy. I just think it's a bit lethal once you've like dodged in and out a little bit.
Yeah, and as much as we see the big chunks of confusion damage, but we forget that Sludge Bomb's neutral and will do 50%. So getting caught against Hypno in a sort of endgame scenario, if you've been sort of running away from it all game, and if you've managed to pick up an extra a counter or 2 here and a counter or 2 there, in an endgame scenario down at the 0 shields, it's got. I'm not going to say it's got play, but it might. No, it's got a hit there, and you might be able to land something. It's not completely hopeless. It's not like it's not a resisted hit. It's not a weak move. It's not a low attack mon. It's nothing's going to enjoy taking a hit from it. It's just that case of can you get that hit off?
It has play against almost everything else, so that's the thing.
Yeah, and it's one of them where if I see a team without confusion, and I feel like I'm going to run Toxicroak. To be honest, I'm looking. I'm seriously trying to run a team without counter. Seriously trying, and I may have found something I like. I may not have. I don't know. But if I run if I'm running a counter user and I see a team without a Hypno, then I feel like I'm going to be in for a good time. And I feel like it's too good. I feel like Toxicroak might be too good not to have personally. Just for those that 1 in 10 team, that 1 in 10 or 1 in 15 teams that doesn't have a Hypno, you can have such a good time.
I personally don't have a Hypno in the team I've built.
And have you been finding Toxie's been throwing you a new one, or?
Nope.
For
the cover I have for Toxie is actually quite good. It's better than I thought it was going to be. I played a game against somebody earlier on and they switched in.
They switched Toxie
into my counter for a Toxie.
Oh, right, okay.
And that did not end well.
No, I'm sure it didn't. I'm sure it didn't.
If anyone was wondering who it is, it's that guy. I was looking very sheepish. It was a miss switch. I will let him get away with it.
Right.
But it didn't end well.
Yeah. Well, that's it. Its hard counters are what its counters are hard counters, but in a lot of in most of the neutral matchups, it'll be able to power through because of counter being stab, and as Phil says, you've got nice spammy mud bombs, which although being a terrible move, and I maintain it's a terrible move, it's fast, and sometimes that's all you need when you're doing so much damage with counter. And you've got a nice high attack stat like Toxie has.
If you can somehow either lose switch to then farm a lot with Toxie, it's dangerous. Or if you gain switch and so your alignment's on point, you're in a fantastic position.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just win the lead. You sorted, yeah.
Win the lead. Well, that's it. Because I was going to ask you what are the best things to pair with Toxie, but I know where we're going with that road, because it's scared of Hypno, so we'll run other Limbuck, and then you want to protect that other Limbuck from other Toxies, so you run Hypno with it as well. And at that point, you don't want to be losing switch advantage.
No, I return back to my previous statement. It's the other three.
Yes,
it's the other three. So it depends what alternative Hypno counters they've got, what alternative aim up counters they've got. That's where my other three is at the moment.
Yeah, similar feelings here, to be honest. Cool. Well, unless anyone's got any final thoughts on Toxie, which I think speaks for itself, to be honest, more often than not. We'll move on to Jamie's pick.
And my pick is everybody's favorite purple Pokemon, Drapion. Oh, sorry, Lapras. Pokédex 131. There's a couple of ways you can run Lapras. We'll get into that. But it's Key Winds, Munchlax, Hypno, A9, Alola Muck, Marowak. Although the Marowak one is closer than suggested. But it picks up some hard losses.
Ice Shard version.
Well, there's a couple of ways you can run it. If you run Ice Shard, you in the ones you win 111, lose 65. In the twos you win 119 and lose 56.
Yeah.
But with a shield advantage, if you use Lapras as a closer with a shield advantage, you lose 10 matches. That's it.
Pretty good going that.
Yeah. In the zeros, it wins 116.
Yeah,
It's got some hard losses.
Yeah, it's not really got that massive hard hit nuke though, is it? So I think the zeros are probably a bit deceptive, but
yeah.
Yeah,
like
I mean, unless it's a steal or what else is going to resist? Unless it's a steel or a rock, that Skull Bash will hurt.
if you win Skull Bash.
If you run a Skull Bash.
I can't wait to see what you're going to end up suggesting here, Jamie.
Well, you know what I'm like. Just you can run it with Ice Beam and Silph, and you pick up Gallade and Cradilly, but you lose a mirror and you lose Dewgong.
Yes, yeah, makes sense.
And you can overturn the Venusaur matchup with a 3-10 advantage, which in the grand scheme of things is not that difficult. And it's fairly close anyway.
The Venusaur one was quite a common one from Catacombs, wasn't it? If you're willing to invest you just farm down.
I didn't realise in the 2 shields you beat Venusaur.
Yeah, and it's one of those ones as well where you can sit and invest 2 shields and farm because you can pick, you pick your coverage, and it's very difficult to wall Lapras.
Yeah, there is a couple of things that will do it here, but there's not as many as you think. And the fact that you can pick up Hypno, which is big, kind of sold at me. We had this discussion a week or so back, and I said, "Yeah, I've got 5 mons. I don't know what Lapras is doing," and you suggested not running it for one practice tournament. I did it, and I was like, "Yeah, he's right. I need it," and it's been there ever since.
Yeah, I mean it's bulky, isn't it? There's not. I mean, let's take Hypno away for a second. There's not a massive amount of bulk here unless you're running Noctowl as your commander, and Lantern as well, I suppose, but that's a bit slow by the standard of the game. These the way the game's gone, Lantern can be a bit slow. Lapras is still respectively fast, and sometimes having you can't use a shield on every mon on your team. Having something that can chew a hit as Lapras can be invaluable. I'm sure I heard that it beats Toxicroak in the ones if you've got a 1 Ice Shard advantage.
Yeah, pretty much.
Which is pretty wild.
I did have it written down, but I can't seem to find it. Yeah, you pick up Toxie in some kind of scenario, and I think you've just beat it in 2s outright anyway.
Surely not.
Yeah.
No, not in 2s.
Not in 2s. You're getting counted down. But like having some sort of win condition is
Phil will check. But you can also run it with Water Gun, which is a way to go, because you can you lose the Hypno matchup, but you'll pick up Empoleon. Whereas if you've got extra cover for Hypno, regardless if you're not using Lapras as your Hypno counter, if someone comes in with an Empoleon,
and
I'm expecting the Water Gun.
Empoleon's looking pretty viable, I think.
Yeah.
So I think see some. So it's certainly a sim worth knowing. When I was practicing with Empoleon at one point, and I got in a Lapras matchup, and I was like, oh, I just wall everything. Like I don't need to shield. I'll just go for my drill packs, and I'll play a bit of a game of attrition and sort of win out in the end. But yeah, I suppose if Silph flips that might be pretty handy.
Yeah.
If Water Gun flips that might be pretty handy. And I suppose then, I know rock types aren't massive here, but you probably have something I keep seeing pop up on, or 2 things I keep seeing pop up on like the team builder and stuff, are Crustle and Alolan Golem. So it's potentially a nice little, because I mean, either way here, regardless of which way you run, Lapras is just a damn good generalist, isn't it?
Yeah, they can do the job you need it to, regardless of whichever way you go about it.
Yeah. So yeah, you'd be able to flip, catch a couple of opponents off guard, not having any fast move damage resisted by Scavalier as well. Could be pretty handy, and then that's gonna and as Phil was saying, that's gonna make that other Marowak matchup a lot cleaner. Not to be honest, it's not been something I've looked at here. Normally I'm a big fan of Lapras.
I think because there's a lot of. Go on, Phil.
Well, first thing I thought was always Catacombs like 2.0 / Sorcerers 2.0. It was like them two mashed together. So my head went straight to Lapras because Lapras was mainly to stop Frostlass from going crazy everywhere, wasn't it?
Mm.
Yeah.
So I definitely see a play, and you're right. It is the ones that if you've got one turn, it doesn't even need to be a full Ice Shard.
Oh wow!
But if you've got one turn, it flips the Toxic. So yeah, I suspect you go in 2-1, you're going to get shield advantage there, right?
Yeah, that's pretty nice. That's pretty nice. Cal, any Lapras thoughts?
I haven't even looked at Lapras this month. Didn't even consider it.
Didn't even consider it.
Consider it.
I mean, I can't criticize too much, but I do wonder whether I have when I look at the team that I think I might run and I see the lack of bulk, I do think, oh, Lapras might be nice, but see, I think the thing with Lapras is that it's a great generalist, but it's got that counter weakness, and I think I want my generalists to not be weak to
a common theme,
yeah, and it's got the win combo in the ones, so it's not dreadful by any means, and it might be nice. It might be a nice ABB sort of thing for using Lapras to draw out the counter user, because unless they've got something like Lantern, like you're not gonna, there's never going to be a terrible scenario for, well, maybe a Scavalier as well, maybe there's not going to be a terrible scenario for Lapras ever, because even
there's only two things that scare me,
which are
Lantern and Rose Red. The only two things that scare me, just because I've got counter cover, and I've got cover for Lantern and cover for Rose Red, but if I get locked in, you're just going to be able to farm me down, because I'm not going to do enough damage quick enough, especially with Lantern.
Yeah.
So it's going to cost me shields to keep Lapras alive, because I'm probably going to need it later on down the line, or it's going to cost me the game, because I'm going to have to let it go, and then whatever you've got in the back, it's going to come back in, and it's good night Vienna.
Yeah. I think Lantern might be a bit of a phase. I think I feel like people are using it a lot in sort of practice when Noctowl was being hyped up. But I don't know. Personally, I'm not seeing as many Noctowl now, and I wonder whether the Lantern has outlived its usefulness. And it pains me to say it, because I think, Lantern has been one of my favourites to use in the past, but I think Lantern's days as a PvP threat have been numbered. I mean, it got me to rank 10 in GBL the first time I got there. I used the Infusion Cup over literally anything else, but I really struggle. I mean, last month was sort of almost custom built for Lantern, wasn't it? But I'm not sure I see it here. So that's, I don't know. I wouldn't be too worried about Lantern. I mean, because you've got Skull Bash as well, so that's some monstrous hit.
But it just takes so long to get there that it's coming.
Yeah, but you still got to do something about it. you still got to either choose to take that damage or not. And yeah, I mean, well, if you shield, I'm pretty sure if you shield the first Thunderbolt and then get a Skull Bash, you can chew the second one and win at a one shield advantage. Not always ideal, but there might be some play there. I'm not 100%.
There probably is, but I'm leaning towards Ice Beam anyway.
Right. Okay. Fair. And that makes sense if you're worried about Roserade as well. The ability to one shot it is nice.
Yeah, I don't foresee much grass about, but if there is, I know one of my other mons can learn it. I'd just rather have it on Lapras because it's doing the ice damage anyway.
Yeah, fair. Yeah, it just adds to the reliability, doesn't it? Okay, well, I'm next, and it's a bit of a dull pick on the face of it. Not particularly exciting. Not a sexy pick, but as Phil was saying, it's going to be about like what your other three do and how what your alternative counters for your Toxicroaks, for your Alolan, for your Hypnos are. And I think Beedrill might be a shout here. If we think back to Sorcerer's Cup when it got the Community Day late on in the month, and we thought, with Drill Run, it's going to come and beat everything. And it did pick up usage. You did see a lot of usage towards the back end of the month because, for that very reason, it could take on Amok, it could take on Toxie, it could take on quite a lot, really. I know Bronzong was bigger than Hypno in that particular cup, wasn't it? So it even had the Drill Run for that, which was nice, and it had the Charm Resistance. And all of that still applies. However, what I'm going to suggest is running it with Infestation, because rather than Poison Jab, because with Infestation, you don't need to bait versus a Alolan Muck, because you're a little bit faster to those drill runs, and you're not, and it's not resisted fast move damage. You don't need to bait versus Toxie or worry about being beaten to the charge moves. And critically, because you're that extra bit faster than Sludge Bomb, than Poison Jab, because you're that extra bit faster and you're doing super effective damage to Hypno, if the Hypno isn't good IVs and fast switching into you, you can get to 2 X's before Hypno can reach a charge move. At which point, if they haven't shielded, you can shield and farm down. Or if they have shield, you're taking a shield advantage. So what you've got essentially, you've got, you can run it with Poison Jab and be a bit more generalisty, or you could run it with Infestation, be a reliable counter to Alolan Muck, which isn't awful versus Hypno, and be a reliable counter to Toxicroak, which doesn't lose to Alolan Muck. So, it's a core breaker, is what it is. It's your classic core breaker where it beats 2 things really well. Kind of isn't awful versus a couple of the other meta things, and then it's outside of that widely quite useless, because you're relying on the non-stab Bulldoze, you're relying on X's, which is crap, and you're relying on Infestation, which I don't know what the exact stats are. Is it something like 2? Is it something like 3 damage, 3 energy, or something like that? Or no, it's going to be more than that.
One sec.
It's like a powder snow clone or something like that. It's you know what? I don't think I had the opportunity to do research about this.
It's a 3-turn move, 6 damage, 12 energy.
So that's 2 damage per turn, 3.
And 4, 2 and 4.
Yeah, 2 and 4. Yeah, that's pretty okay. That's pretty okay. That's like Fury. That's Fury Cutter, isn't it?
Fury Cutter and Hex. Yeah.
Hex. Yeah. That's pretty solid. It's pretty solid going. It's what it lacks is any real damage output because it's not got a threat with its fast move. You're not infestation in anything down. X's are really doesn't force anyone to make big decisions unless it's like double super effective, which it isn't ever going to be. It's more often than not, it's going to be neutral here.
Yeah, nobody's switching in a shiftery on you, are they?
No, exactly. Yeah, and Drill Run really needs the super effective damage boost to really put a dent in things. That said, ground type damage is very good here. So you might find yourself in that situation more often than not, where you are getting the super effective boost on that Drill Run.
So the main three: Toxic good, Aim Up good, Hypno in the ones. 4 turns?
Playable, yeah. Well, not playable, but the opponent's going to be dead fast, and you're taking some, and if they're not, you're taking something in the ones, yeah. Yeah, I can see you deep in thought there, Phil.
I'm running Sims because I'm trying to find. Credilli is fantastic as a crow breaker. Everyone loves Credilli because fantastic typing. It's weak to counter, but
it's weak to everything.
Yeah, but is fire not neutral to it?
Yeah, fire is neutral to it. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, it's weak to ice. Okay. But not many people running ice because of the rocks, but
no.
It doesn't quite beat Credilli, does it? Because that's Stone Edge.
No, if you're looking for a list of things that it beats outside of Alolan Muck and Toxicroak, it's probably not going to be a very long list. I'll be honest. I think it's a much longer list if you're running Poison Jab, because you've then got a bit of damage output there. But I think if you want to run Beedrill, you're sort of almost nailing your colours to the mast, really, in terms of, right, I'm going to use it as a core breaker to break up Alolan Muck and Toxicroak, at which point, go all in, run Infestation, I think, personally.
So I'm guessing you're using it as a switch of some sort to try and tempt in the Hypno?
Yes. Yeah. It's a safe switch. Well, it's not, is it? It's not a safe switch because the good of no. Okay, there we go. I've talked myself out of using it as a switch. It's a good end game Pokemon when you force them to be left with either Toxicroak or Muck by your lightning switches. Or it's a good lead because you're covering 2 of the 3 core meta, and you can stay in versus the Hypno and not be terrible and have something like a backline that struggles versus Hypno but isn't awful, sort of thing.
Not every team's going to pick an Octel or an AWAC.
I'm certainly not. No.
So it has play. It has play. I can definitely see it.
Yeah.
I played one earlier on, running Poison Jab, and running Poison Jab, it's really good. So I can imagine if it's a little bit faster against the core 3 Pokemon, you can't go far wrong.
Yeah. I mean, I suppose, right? I suppose if you're running, if the extra speed of Infestation is there to get the drill runs off faster, I suppose you could drop X-Scissor and run Sludge Bomb and have a bit of damage pressure, but then you're giving up the. Well, you're still going to get a hit off versus Hypno, but any chance of beating it is gone. But it's still better than Toxicroak. That's for sure. Yeah, Carl, what do you reckon? Any thoughts on Beedrill?
No, speechless. Genuinely didn't think Beedrill was going to crop up.
No.
How many confusions can it take?
Do you know what? It's not as frail as you might think it is. I'm sure it's. See, I do this to myself every time I say it's not as frail as you might think it is. Well, there you go. It's
7.
I say it's not as frail as you might think it is. It's only just a little bit frailer than Frostlass, which is so yeah.
How many X's can you get to win 7 confusions or Phil?
Still only 1 unless you get that 4 turn advantage.
You only need 4 confusions to the fire punch anyway, so then you've got a shield.
Yeah.
But that's
No, this is it. You want to play the ones. You want to play the ones.
yeah.
You want to get a little bit of turn advantage to get that second X scissor, which will KO, or at least put it low that the next infestation does.
Yeah. Yeah, so then you can choose to shield the fire punch or the thunder punch or punch of choice at that point because of all the confusion damage. Like you could probably go for a grass punch, and still take you out. I'm sure there is I'm sure grass knot. Is it grass knot or no seed bomb? I'm pretty sure is grass punch, but that's just not as commonly distributed. But yeah. But the thing is, I'm not sure whether the Hypno would throw because. Wouldn't you, as the Hypno player, want to try and farm that down and try and save your energy? And then it might be one of those where he gets close and you don't quite kill it, and then you might panic and then throw, and then you end up in a situation where you throw at the same time as the Beedrill, and then you have to shield. And do you know what I mean? Where you get caught between a rock and a hard place, and you throw. You either need to and you either need to throw early or commit to not throwing at all. Then you do neither, which is never a nice place to be in, and I'm sure we've all been there. But I just think solid core breaker. I mean, I gave it a run out versus you actually, Jamie, and I found myself in versus your was it a Jellicent, I think?
Yeah.
And those drill runs, I mean, it's pretty pitiful. Like it's not. I mean, I know Jellicent's really bulky, and I know drill run doesn't stab, but
once you've took a few bubble beams, anything towards Jellicent is
I suppose
pretty much pitiful. We had this discussion about muck.
Yeah.
And I did the same to you. What I did to Dan, I just kept bubble beaming you down, and by the end of it, you were hitting me with dark pulses, and it was just laughing at you.
Yeah.
And then it got to the point where I took your shield, and then I hit a shadow ball, and I finished you off, and I did the same to Dan as well. Killed him with a shitload of energy.
Yeah, fair. Yeah, Jellicent's perhaps not the best stick there, but yeah. It's just the point I'm trying to make about its ability to be a generalist is appallingly bad. So what I would say is don't pick up Beedrill and then just stick it on as pick number 6. You've got to. I think you've got to pick your 6 almost with a lot of bench pressure in mind to try and bench pressure in. Really, if you're going to be running Beedrill, you want to almost make certain that you're going to see Toxicroak and Alolan Muck in every line of 3 that your opponent plays.
Which is not uncommon.
But yeah, well that's true. Yeah, it's not uncommon at all.
So Munchlax's going to be commander then.
Yeah, Munchlax would be.
That would make people bring a Morkan Toxicroak.
Yeah.
Shift. Well, you can or Shiftry. Or Shiftry, because you can't have both.
Maybe you run something like a Venusaur or a Cradilly.
Yeah. Cradilly would bring them both in. Yeah. Giving away the strats, the bench pressure rating.
Am I the only one that's thinking this month that the commanders are pretty useless? And what even is the point?
Do you know what? I've not found one that I really like. I've not.
Escav, it's the way forward.
I'd happily not use one.
Yeah, I could happily not use one and just use 5 mons.
I don't know about that. I'd rather have, I think any team of 5 mons would benefit from having Munchlax on it. That's almost certain. That's almost guaranteed, I think. But yeah, I just feel like with Munchlax, Alolan Muck's so good and does the same job there. I just feel like I want something else out of that.
I just think personally the Mr. Trick not making Hypno Commando.
Yeah, they might have seen.
It would have made it a much better balanced
Yeah, we might have seen some variety in confusion users, or might have seen more ghost instead. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I just really hope we don't have to use Hypno in regionals next month. That's just been awful.
It's due a ban.
It's due a ban. Yeah, it's 3 months in a row now. It's been an absolute monster. But yeah, not much else to say on Beedrill, I don't think. Cal, do you know what? Right, when you told me you wanted to pick this, I thought, surely that's just dreadful. Apparently not.
Right, so my pick is Pokedex number 369, and it's Relicanth. So it's not about the number of wins it's got, it's what it beats, is what I'm particularly interested in. So it's obviously stuff like AWAC and all the fire stuff, Alolan Muck, Alolan Ninetales, Escavalier, Lapras, Frostlass, Sudowoodo, Noctowl, and pretty much all the dark poisons as well. That's in the ones, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I was interested in for the winning. That, and I quite like Watergun as a move, so...
Yeah. I'm sure you said Escavalier there.
In the ones, yeah?
Escavalier that knows counter and drill run, and Relicanth beats it.
Cuts a beefy poke in the ones.
That's insane.
Same. It shows us I lost the Munchlax, but Munchlax has to land the Bulldoze. Hypno has to land the Shadow Ball if it's not running Thunder Punch, if it's running Fire Punch. Then stuff like Alolan Golem, which you might expect, that can't switch in on you because you've got a couple of Watergun leads. You get to the second Aqua Tail to take it out. And in the twos, I think it beats all of the Rock Electrics quite comfortably as well.
So what we're saying is, unless your opponent's got a Lantern or
a
Venusaur, Relicanth is, I mean Toxie, isn't it? Probably now.
No, Toxie tells it as well.
Yeah, but unless your opponent's got that, like if your opponent's focusing the Toxie on Relicanth, they're not focusing it on your Alolan Muck or your Munchlax, are they?
No.
It can't do both things. Well, certainly not at the same time. Yeah, that's pretty mad.
I wanted something that was a bit similar to Rainy Cast form from last month, so that's exactly what my thinking went. So,
in Quillfish in this matter.
Yeah, but that just melts the Hypno, doesn't it?
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah.
That Escav matchup, that is squeaky, like one turn squeaky.
Yeah, but you're never going to be switching the Relicanth into the Escav, surely not.
No.
So you're never going to be at an energy disadvantage.
Yeah. So the Escav player must think, right, I have to take this to the twos now. It dies with a drill run. That's harsh. Yeah. You're gonna be forcing some CMP ties and some phone throwing there. That's a clever mon, that.
I mean, could there be IVs and breakpoints involved in that potentially? I mean, anything that's that close is always worth checking.
For counter, yes, there is.
What, so you need a good IV Relicanth?
You need a good IV Escavalier. Is that right?
What, high attack Escavalier?
Yeah, to get the 9.
Which is, not out of the question. I mean...
Sorry, I've read that wrong. You need a bulky Relicanth to make sure it doesn't get to 9.
Right.
Sorry,
okay.
There we go, sorry.
Right. Yeah, so, I mean, I don't know how many Relicanth you guys have... Although you all did that event, didn't you?
The Liverpool one.
Yeah, so it's just there's only me left in the entirety of Great Britain who's only got one Relicanth and it's crap, yeah? I need to start asking people for Relicanth traits.
Okay, I'll speak to you afterwards.
Yeah, do you know when that event came out? I just thought, because I lived basically on a river when that came out. I was like, I get enough water spawns as it is. You'll all go out and get a billion shiny lantern, and I'll be able to trade off eventually. But then when I stopped playing, I stopped playing, so I never picked them up. But yeah, so it's not out of the question then that people have got these good, these bulky Relicanths, which is good. Jamie, Watergun Relicanth to Watergun Lantern.
Lapras.
Watergun Lapras. Yeah, what we saying here?
Yeah, actually, Relicanth beats Lapras.
Yeah, but
It's the ancient power, eh?
It depends. I looked at this when you told me what everyone was running. I looked at all the matchups versus everyone, and I don't think it's played right on PV Pork, but it's closer than it looks. I think as well, you're losing hard to any grass, where Lapras isn't losing that hard.
Mhm.
I know it loses, but it's not to the point where you think, fuck. Whereas with Relicanth, you're going to take a Razor Leaf and you're probably dead after 3. It's just going to fall over.
Who's running Razor Leaf?
yeah, I'm struggling to
That's
see.
You
coming
are,
from
yeah?
me. That's coming from me.
I'm fairly sure that you hit me with a Razor Leaf earlier on.
That's a guilty man. That's the look of a guilty man.
Does Credilli even learn Razor Leaf?
No, but
No.
those bullet seeds must have been doing a lot of damage then.
No, I think the first time we played that matchup, it surprised me as well. It is actually a little bit bulkier than I thought it was going to be. And it's not the worst one in the world, is it?
It's pretty bulky, Relicanth, you know.
Mm.
It's pretty good on the bulk side.
Yeah, but what I meant is though, Jamie, is if you were looking for a water gunner, is Relicanth just not better than Lapras? I think.
I wouldn't use it personally a lot. I think I prefer the ice moves over the rock moves.
Right, fair.
And I don't know what's going to do more. I think Silph's going to do more than Aquatail.
I mean, that is true. That is, can't.
Because even at neutral damage, I think Silph is better than neutral damage Aquatail.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Aquatail's pretty poor, but I suppose with Relicanth, it's the bulk, isn't it? They had a bulk of being able to get some.
But Lapras is bulky as well. I think they're both bulky. I think Lapras is just the better bit of bulk.
Is Lapras getting an ancient power boost though? It's just not.
Is Relicanth getting an ancient power boost?
All the time, every time. It's guaranteed, isn't it?
Yeah.
Only
It
for
works
shiny.
100% of the time, 10% of the time.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think there's pros and cons to both because Lapras, with the energy advantage, beats Toxie, whereas Relicanth loses to Toxie. But Relicanth beats Sudo, which Lapras would lose to because that Iceman doesn't like that rock slide, whereas Relicanth just laughs at it.
That's good.
I think, but I think Toxie you're going to see more than Sudo. The Escab one's quite fascinating, so that might tempt me to look at Relicanth.
Yeah, I suppose, like if you were looking at like a really niche sort of anti-counter user that somehow lost to Sudowoodo and Escavalier, and so at that point, is it really an anti-counter user? It's an anti-Toxicroak user. That somehow lost to those things, and you needed a bit of coverage elsewhere. Could be pretty handy, I suppose. It's never something you want to rely on, I'm sure, but like you'd much rather have it lined up against some of those things, those costs that it breaks, like the Hypno, like the Munchlax, that sort of those neutral matchups that break up those cores. I suppose they're similar to Beedrill in that sense, I suppose, but with the better all-round generalist matchups. But yeah, it could be pretty handy. Yeah.
I just think on 90% of the teams, you're going to see a grass type of some description.
Do you reckon?
Yeah. Like Phil said, you got Cradilly that's running about with all its dicks.
And people do love a Cradilly.
Roserade's going to be everywhere.
I think Roserade will be the most popular grass type, but I still
They've got Roserade, and it's just a hypno fest, isn't it? Then.
Well, yeah.
So-
I just think it's difficult. I think if I was, do you know what? I kind of regret hyping up Venusaur as much as I did in the first episode because I kind of feel like now, if I was bringing a grass type, which I'm almost certainly not going to bring a grass type, I don't think. But if I was going to bring one, I think I'd be in Camp Cradilly. Because I think Roserade and Venusaur are very difficult to run with Toxicroak or a counter user. And because Hypno's such a presence. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think we'll see all that many grass. Personally,
I think we'll see. Most teams will have at least one. Bill, have you got a grass?
I have grass, yes.
Carl?
I did have.
There we go. So in a word, that's no. So let's say 50-50. I don't know.
I did have Cradilly.
Well, yeah. I don't know. And whenever you're building a team with a mud boy or a water rock, you're going to be covering your grass weaknesses in multiple ways, aren't you? Like, you're never going to be, you'll not be pairing it with Lantern, for example. Could be a good partner for Beedrill, or a good alternative corebreaker for Beedrill. Because Beedrill's going to do the same job but pick up grass, so you heard it here first.
The Beedrill Relicanth combo.
That's it. Breaking the meta since the 5th of May, as it is now. But don't do that. Well, let's leave it there then, guys. Unless anyone's got any final thoughts. Do you know what? It's such a tough meta to build a case for anything that isn't Toxie, Hypno, and Amok. Personally, that's
shit meta. Shit meta. That's what it is.
It reminds me of Chronicles.
That was the best meta.
I don't know. I don't think it's a terrible meta. I think there is skill to break it. I just think you've got to be really brave. Like, part of me wishes. I think if I looked at this cup with, I wonder what a team without Hypno, Toxie, or Amok would look like. That's what I wonder. And I wonder if a team built to break that rather than run it, and then you try and break it as well at the same time. I wonder what that would look like. But
when we finish this, I'll show you.
You'll show me, right? Okay. Nice one. Well, cheers, guys. Thanks.
Just ask Jay; he'll tell you.
Just ask Jay. Yeah. Well, it always works for him, doesn't it? It always works for him. Always gets solid results. Right. Cheers, guys. Catch you later.
Cheers,
Thanks
man.
very much, Matthew.
Thanks for having us.